Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the Airbnbs in Europe or in France. It's really interesting. There's some interesting Airbnbs and things you need to be aware of in France is that the Airbnbs are older buildings usually, especially in the cities. So you may end up with anything. Anything. First thing, make sure your Airbnb is not over a butcher shop, near trash cans, because you will have to deal with flies, mosquitoes, depending on where it's at. Remember, in Europe, the homes do not have screens. So they just open up their window to the environment. So you'll have to deal with all of those things. Okay, another thing on the Airbnbs, and I don't know about this light because I am walking across a bridge. You probably can see the bridge behind me in Le Grand Mont, which is outside of Montpellier. With Airbnbs, remember, almost everything in the Airbnb comes from IKEA. And a lot of people are like, IKEA? Yeah. Everything comes from IKEA. They fill their homes with IKEA stuff, so it may not be comfortable seating. You'll be lucky if you have a comfortable bed. They usually have click-clack beds. If you don't know what a click-clack bed is, we call it a cot that folds up in the middle like a sandwich. So you will find yourself sleeping on click-clack beds. So you have to be very diligent when searching for an Airbnb to ensure that it doesn't have a click-clack bed. Everything is not IKEA. You have bed linen that is thick, especially if it's cold, because their towels are, well, the bed linen is thin. They do not usually use a top sheet and a bottom sheet. So what they use is just a bottom sheet and a comforter. So you will have that and you may be freezing. Towels are the consistency of thickness of a dish rag. So you may want to bring a towel in your suitcase because it will not be thick, okay? So a lot of things are worn. You may break something, especially if you got it from IKEA. Try to replace it. Even though it is a little bit cheap, the chairs, almost everything is from IKEA. You just have to know that. Another thing you want to check and make sure that they have heat. Air conditioning, really important if they don't have air conditioning, because can get really brutally hot, especially if you're in the south of France. And then in the fall, it gets pretty cold. Well, November or so, it gets really cold, especially if you're near the water. So that's critical. Okay, so another thing. Some Airbnbs, you want to check this, will have plants in them that you're supposed to take care of. I had one person, great Airbnb, loved it, but she had a tomato plant and she asked me if I could take care of it and how was it watering and all this stuff. Wasn't an issue because I like where I was at, but if you're not into plants and not a plant person, I think they do it for the ambiance, but really when they expect you to take care of it, that's a little bit much. So that's one thing you have to look at. Going back to the things that are in your Airbnb, such as blankets, pillows. Oh, I missed pillows. That's one thing I missed. They will be flat because they're from IKEA. Majority of the Airbnbs I've seen have been flat pillows, worn out bedspreads, worn out sheets, and definitely worn out towels. So that's just going back to that whole issue of the items that are in the Airbnbs. Also, some Airbnbs have a lot of old furniture that looks like it came from a resale shop. These guys are charging high prices for that kind of service. What we get in other countries is, well, I can't really compare it to the US, but I will. For the price that you pay for an Airbnb in Europe or France, you could get a whole house and you're only getting a studio in Europe. So you're getting maybe a studio for 1,000, 1,500, 1,000, all the way up to 1,500 in the summer. And it has all IKEA furniture and it has a click-clack bed. Dishes could be burned out. Oh, this is another thing. I have done better with Airbnbs when I choose one that a woman is in control of, or a husband and wife. Then it's set up really nicely, really nicely. I don't mess with young people because they play around. When you have a question, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, that's a big thing. I don't really mess with the younger people with the Airbnbs because it's usually not set up correctly. And I'll get into that about the setup, which is interesting. Okay, so another thing. I don't deal with the younger group of people in their 20s with Airbnbs. A lot of times these people want you to go offline to have a discussion. What I've learned about them, 100% of the time, something's wrong with their Airbnb. Something is definitely wrong with their Airbnb. So they want to leave the Airbnb website to go to WhatsApp and talk to you about things. If your Airbnb is great, you don't need to leave the website. You don't need to go to another platform to have a discussion. And they will do that. But that's because they know something's broken. The washing machine isn't working. The Wi-Fi, something's going on. They don't want to put the Wi-Fi on Airbnb, even though it's just been sent to you. You have to call them. They'll keep calling you back and forth because things are wrong and not correct with their Airbnb. So I try not to deal with the younger people. I deal with usually the older people. I have no problem. They follow the rules. They stay on Airbnb when they message me. If they can't reach me on Airbnb, then they may call me, but they don't go back and forth with all the drama. That's an issue, a major issue with Airbnb. Also, it's imperative that you let Airbnb know when you are renting a place and it doesn't look like anything in the pictures. You're probably going to have problems after that. Example, they take pictures of a Airbnb unit that has pictures on the wall. You get there, they're all on the floor. Dishwasher broken, we talked about that. When you see something like that or something goes wrong, just let Airbnb know. Don't fall into the WhatsApp talking to the owner so he can hide what's going on. Also, these owners, if you leave a bad review, they will go to your hosting section or the section where you're a tenant and leave a bad review for you so that no one else will rent to you through Airbnb. So Airbnb and I have talked about that, how they always want you to leave a review about something because they say, well, we don't know about these problems if you don't leave a review. I said, yes, but your people who are homeowners will go back and put a bad review for you, knowing that their place is a mess. Knowing now that it's a mess, they'll go back and put a bad review for you so that no one will rent to you. And then you just have to clarify. So the key is, I usually don't even leave a review if it's bad. And I wait for the homeowner to say something first under my name. And then I go back and tell them exactly what was going on with their place. Because in Europe, a lot of people do know that these people are scamming, that their homes are not worth the cost, that they have put junk in their Airbnbs. When I say junk, old tablecloths, old tables, chairs that can easily be broken, so don't stand on them because they're IKEA. If you need to change something, you may have to go get batteries for the remote, which is not a big deal. If it's not working, check the batteries because I've had to change a lot of batteries. They don't do that. Freezer doors that have fallen off, especially with the little refrigerators, the dorm size refrigerators, because they don't have big refrigerators. Usually the freezer door is broken off because they don't know how to defrost their refrigerators. So the buildup of ice knocks that little door off and is broken. Always broken. I've seen several like that. Always broken. So just check those little things that are really critical because they may end up saying you broke it. Okay, so I want to get a little video of La Grande Motte. I tend to come back here because it's quiet in the winter And if you haven't seen it, it has tons of condos lined everywhere. Some of them look like spaceships, as you can see. And it has a walking path that goes along the beach. It's really interesting. Le Grand Mas in Montpellier. Now, Montpellier is interesting. Small town. Small village, I should say. Small village. Toulouse is much bigger, but Toulouse doesn't get the sunshine. Toulouse has great shopping, great services, great fast transportation. It's super crowded, tons of students. And Montpellier has tons of students, slower transportation, more laid back, way more laid back. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Can't see me there, but the beach is right over there. Right over there. Nice walking path. Great in the winter, cheap in the winter, nice. Very nice. Okay, so we were doing the Airbnb thing here. I think that's it. I covered everything with regard to the Airbnbs. I think I covered everything with regard to the Airbnbs. Let's see, anything else? We covered the blankets, bedding, utensils, IKEA. IKEA is their friend in Europe, folks. IKEA, and more IKEA. I liked in Toulouse, though, you could actually take a bus to IKEA. So you would be in Toulouse, and IKEA was like in the suburbs. And they had a bus in Carm that takes you to IKEA, which is really nice. Okay. So, as I was saying, can't think of anything else about the Airbnbs. Think I covered it all. If you have a problem, please work with Airbnb, because they do try to work with you. My first time they didn't. Second time they were really helpful. And I told them I'm just tired of this with regard to the stories that people tell when you get to the Airbnb and it's not what it seems. So they do try to work with you, especially if they see you've been spending money. Okay? Beautiful day today. Oh, mosquitoes. And make sure you bring your mosquito repellent, because tons of mosquitoes, I think because of global warming, tons of mosquitoes everywhere. Here it is, still fall, and tons of mosquitoes everywhere. As I'm panning, I'm also thinking, have I missed anything about the Airbnbs? Oh, these mosquitoes are everywhere. Have I missed anything? Let me think. I think I've covered everything about the Airbnbs. Yeah, I think oh, it's a good view of that condo that looks like a spaceship. Most of them do look like spaceships. And this is a weekday morning. That is the Mediterranean Sea. Montpellier is off the Mediterranean Sea. I always make a mistake and say ocean, and people always correct me. Montpellier is a great place. You'll see me come back here quite a bit because it's really nice. While I'm checking out France, Nice, next stop, Lyon. December, they have the light show where they actually display lights on the buildings. It's a big thing. I heard about it years ago when I was in the U.S. And their major light show. Montpellier just had one. So they're trying to bring everything to their town because a lot of people are leaving Paris, just like people are leaving the big city in New York. And they're coming to the smaller towns in the south to get away from the crime, to get away from the hustle bustle. to get away from everything. So it's like humans are the same everywhere you go. So a lot of people are leaving Paris and heading south. Oh, one thing about the south here, if you come and visit the south of France in the summer, be careful with your dogs. It gets so hot it can be 100 degrees or 40 Celsius and 40 something Celsius. And your dogs cannot walk on the pavement, so you need to have boots or something for them because it can be a little dangerous. You just don't take them out unless it's cool because it's so dangerous for them in the hot cement. And it does get hot. And we have people who are walking in the water every morning. They do their walk in the sea. It's like a group of people. I don't know if you can see them. Oh, I think they're here. But they do a walk. They're like all the way in the back there. Okay. So make sure if you're bringing pets and you're traveling, it is burning hot in the summer. And I suggest if you have a pet, have a balcony. That's a little bit easier too. And that little dog in the front is mine, who thinks he just loves the beach. And those are the people over there I keep talking about that do the water walking as exercise. Oh. And they're out here, oh my God, when it's freezing in the water. But you know your body adjusts temperature-wise. And the Mediterranean Sea is warmer. So and on the beach, you have a lot of walkers. I've been on here before with another video you've seen. And this is just my go-to place in the winter. It's a great go-to place. You can see a ship out there in the ocean. All the way back there. It may not be picking up on my camera. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Final thoughts on the Airbnb situation before I wrap this up. My final thoughts. Choose wisely. Choose your time of year that you're coming. Car rentals are higher, but most of France has great transportation. Great transportation. The trams run fast. That's another thing. Make sure you buy a ticket before you get on the tram. If you don't, they are very diligent about catching you and giving you a ticket for over $100 for a ticket that only costs you €1.60 or $1.80 or something. Then you end up getting pulled off the train, especially in Montpellier. They come on the trains like a gang, the police. I guess it's the Metro Police. And they will take you off if you don't show your updated ticket. In Toulouse, they wait for you after you get off the train. And I do understand why, because so many of the kids were jumping the stile just like they do in New York. And so it's going to be a group of people at the top of the escalator when you get off the train, checking your ticket. Always, always, always when you come to France, make sure you validate your ticket, read the instructions, because if they pull you off, you're going to pay at least $100 in Montpellier. I'm not sure about the pricing and fees in other places. Let's see. That's really important. Don't try to dodge the system. Find out about the system. Oh, also, I had mentioned about the cleanliness. When you get, just like in the U.S., when you get to the suburbs, it's a little bit cleaner. When you're in the city, you will see the dog poop. You will see tons of homeless people with their pets. So that's another thing. And they have their pets because in the shelters, they're allowed to take their pets into the shelters, which is interesting. But they don't stay in the shelters and they're on the street because people steal their items, which is similar. At least they're not getting beaten up like in the States at the shelters. But you will see, especially in Toulouse, tons of homeless on the street with their pets. In Montpellier, yeah, same thing, homeless, pets. And even in the south of France, this is something I've never seen. The homeless people are very aggressive in Montpellier, downright nasty to some people, okay? And could be people of color. So, and a lot of them can be, a lot of them from Morocco. There's an issue going on I'll deal with later in another video about Moroccans, African Americans, and Africans. So Moroccans are the Arab Africans. And there is a big issue with them in France and how they are treated. And they're angry at other people of color because they're treated so badly. So that's a whole nother issue I'll deal with. But just be leery of them. They are more aggressive. And that's it. See you soon.